Hi, I'm Kristen Davis, and I want to know, are you a Charlotte? You guys, Mario Cantone's here.
Oh my, I've been waiting.
It's so exciting. I know that's what he said when I texted him. Hey, do you want to be on the podcast?
I hope so. I've been waiting for you to ask me.
But my feeling was, in my mind, when I agreed to do the podcast to rewatch, which I hadn't rewatched, since it originally came on, I thought I'm going to go chronologically and in order, but it's too hard to wait. Okay.
It is too hard to wait. And so funny, I caught myself because I saw that we were going to recap this episode, and I was like, why aren't we doing an episode I'm in that we do? And I went, oh, wait a minute. Okay. You're doing one at a time.
Correct.
You're doing it chronologically.
Correct.
I said, so great. And
well, you're just such a joy that I have to have you now.
I needed to be here now.
I know he was not messing around. He was like, well, I was waiting.
I've been waiting.
I know. We came all the way to lovely San Francisco.
I know it.
To talk to you.
And we're in beautiful Marin County.
It's very beautiful.
Oh, Marin County's beautiful.
I mean, wow.
There's a lovely little town that I stay at once in a while called Bolinas, which is like hidden.
Okay.
The locals ripped the signs down.
Wow.
So you don't know how to get there unless you know how to get there.
It's secret, you guys.
Beautiful.
So here is Mario, the fantastic Mario Cantone. Now, what I want to do with you is go back to the beginning.
Okay.
I want to ask you, okay, what year did you get cast and how did it come about on Sex and the City?
Okay, so I started... in the 80s, I was doing stand-up with Michael Patrick King at the Improv.
No way.
At the 44th Street, 9th Avenue, the original Improv that Bud Friedman and Silver Friedman owned. And then they divorced, and Bud got the one in L.A. and Silver got the one in New York.
Huh.
She passed me. I met Michael. He was in a comedy team at the time.
Wow.
King and Mende. And then he ended up
On
doing
his
stand-up
own.
on his own.
Right.
I remember one time, Joan Rivers' husband had just passed away. And so Michael said to me, okay, you're Joan Rivers, who also knew that I did her and loved me.
Okay, good.
She goes, I have to preface it. He goes, you're Joan Rivers, you're on a cruise, Edgar just died, you're grieving, you're getting over it, go.
Wow.
And I would have to improv, Melissa, how are you?
my
Come on,
God.
sit down, let's have some breakfast. We're doing better today. Could I get some eggs? Eggs. Oh, we would, and it went on. And then I ended up doing that on stage a week later, and it was too soon. But it was it was fun.
So wait,
but
Michael since the 80s?
Since the 80s. So
okay.
I was doing an off-Broadway show at the time. It was the end of 1999, I think, or 2000.
Okay.
I think it was early 2000. And he said, I wrote you something.
So he wrote it for you.
Oh, yeah, he wrote it.
That's amazing.
But I was doing an off-Broadway show at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I went in to read just to make it official.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I was doing a show called The Crumple Zone, which did very well, ran for 6 months off Broadway. And I remember the day we filmed, it was a tech day. And the director, who I love very much,
was not pleased.
No, he didn't want to let me on. I'm like,
Right.
It's a tech day. People stand there and you light it.
Right.
And I went like this, I'm going to do this episode.
Because
there was an issue of maybe I would. Oh no, I was like, I'm going to do this episode.
That is so sweet.
And I went. Oh no, it wasn't sweet. It was desperation.
Episode? Like, what was the agreement?
It was one episode.
Wow.
That was
As
it.
my wedding planner.
As your wedding planner.
Mario plays Anthony, my wedding player.
And do you remember we had 2 scenes? We had a second scene.
No, I don't remember.
Okay,
What?
Okay, see, I love. See, you do every episode. I don't. I was recurring. I did. People go, how many episodes did I do? I did 12.
What?
Only 12. I did 1 season 3.
Yeah.
Ours. 2 season 4. 3 season 5. And 6 season 6. And then both movies.
Luckily,
then both movies. And luckily now I'm a regular.
He was in.
Now I'm a
can't
regular.
be without him.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
God.
the movies really kind of solidified it, which was nice,
Yes, got it.
So there were 2 scenes in that first episode we did.
Okay.
There was the one hates it, the very famous hates it.
With the wedding dress.
With the wedding dress. She hates it. Yeah, Vera Wang.
Don't use the F word in Vera Wang.
Yeah.
Okay.
All that stuff.
Okay.
Like, you're dragging, and I'm yelling at the girl.
Right.
And then there was another scene in the back of the Vera Wang in this kind of little area.
Like a dressing room?
Yep. And I was fitting you.
Okay.
And you were getting very anxious as Charlotte.
This rings a bell.
And I had a scissors, and it ripped the dress, and you were furious. And we just kind of looked at each other. That scene got cut because it was at 3 a.m, 4 a.m. There wasn't enough coverage, and they cut it. Luckily, they cut it because it was almost like an argument between us. I ripped your dress.
Oh, so it might not have gone well.
So
well, they probably wanted to keep you. They probably knew already.
I don't know.
No.
Well, I remember running into Michael and he said, do you know how much great feedback we got on you? I said, I don't know. I said, and I don't care. I just want to know, am I coming back? And he said, yes. So that's
adorable. I vaguely remember, they'll tell you what I remember most about the Vera Wang. So we're in Vera Wang, which I think was a big deal.
Yes.
And I had already tried on like 35 actual Vera Wang dresses to see what Charlotte would wear. It was a whole drama. And we're there and it's going very late, as was our just general MO. And I'm so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but all the time.
It was very late.
Very late.
We got out at 4 a.m. that night.
Exactly. And so the executive from HBO, Michael Hill, came. Do you remember? And the reason I remember is that it's not very big in Vera Wang. It's like a very boutique.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's sitting over across the room, like just glaring at everyone because he wants us to hurry up because we're over budget, right?
Oh, wow.
And he's just glaring at everyone, which doesn't help anything.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm sure that also influenced the scene the other scene that got cut, which is actually a good thing that it got cut, as you're saying. But I don't remember that other scene because I mean, when I'm rewatching, I don't remember anything. It's like I'm seeing it for the first time.
I just started watching a bunch of them because they're just playing them on HBO a lot now.
Right.
And I'm seeing the uncut version of it. Usually I'm used to seeing them quickly on. I also don't like seeing myself that long ago because
come on,
I just go, boy, was I pretty.
You're so
what
adorable.
Yeah.
Baby, you're still adorable.
I was pretty. What happened? But I remember. It's so funny because I didn't remember Michael Hill. I don't remember him coming. If I had known, I probably would have been like, oh God. Good thing I didn't know.
I tried to protect you from such things.
And the other thing was, like when we were rehearsing it, and I remember Betty Ann and all the crew, they were laughing hysterically.
Right.
And then, of course, they can't laugh while you're filming. So in my comedian's sick mind, you think, well, I'm not funny anymore. I've lost it. There's that issue.
Oh, no.
But I remember that night like it was yesterday. And also that night, my husband's was opening in an off-Broadway show at Playwrights Horizon that night.
Oh my God.
And I couldn't go. But he was look, this changed my life.
I'm glad.
It changed my life. It's and the fact that it's come back.
I know.
And it's this successful and it's come back. No reboot runs.
We don't call it a reboot. Baby.
I know. You know what I'm saying.
I do.
No reissue, no whatever.
Right.
It doesn't happen like this.
Well, I think it also just doesn't happen that you get to revisit the characters for 30 years or whatever, or 28, whatever it is. So that's alone shocking. And then the other thing that I mention a lot, but is really, I think, important to remember is that I can't think of any other female-driven, franchise, which is what we are at this point, that is as successful and ongoing. So we're just incredibly lucky.
Yeah, from the series to the movies to this.
Exactly.
And also, within just like that, there's been big changes made in characters all the way around. And
except for Charlotte.
Well, what's interesting? But watching
in a good way.
Watching that early episode, it was interesting.
Well,
to see.
First season.
What? But no. You're
crazy
beautiful.
different.
You're lovely.
You're so sweet.
You're wonderful.
Thank you. But it's very unformed.
Well, but when Charlotte did get formed, it's interesting what happens. Especially, let me talk about the sequel here, and just like that. What I think has happened to you is that your confidence level, and I think this happened when you formed the character too, but it has kind of heightened. Your confidence level is stronger and your anxiety level is higher, which makes for magnificent comedy that you
listen.
But
I gotta tell you something, Mario. There is no way that my anxiety level is higher than it was first season.
Really?
That's all I can think of when I watch is how anxious
I'm talking
I
about
am
the character,
inside.
though.
I know.
Not you.
I can't separate. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but of course you're anxious. It's a new thing.
And I don't know what the heck. Like,
you didn't know where this was going.
But also, I wasn't even worried about where it was going. Like I was more just trying to pull off Charlotte, and Charlotte was so underdeveloped. Like Michael told me when he came on the podcast that he was like, I don't know how to write for that one. And I was like, I love to hear that because definitely I could tell that I was not fully fleshed out. And then Jenny Bakes came on, which was so great because Jenny grew up on the Upper East Side. So she was actually an authority who could write me knowing what that was, what that was about Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Thank God.
Look-
So it came together. But what I want to say about you, and then we're going to talk about you because we're here to talk about you, my friend. So what I want to say is that the success that we've had for all these many years in all these different forms is because we have the most amazing cast, and that includes every element of the cast and the incredible writers and the incredible fans. So you have been a huge, huge, huge part of that success.
Thank you. Our chemistry is so good, and I love working with you. And on the note of anxiety,
yes,
you know, when on every episode I did of Sex and the City, I left that set thinking, I didn't hit it. I didn't get it.
I know,
he didn't get it. I would call him. He'd be like, "You think I'd let you? You know, Michael. You think I'd let you go if
I know
I didn't get it?
I know you were always so worried.
Always
sweet.
And then I would watch it and be like, "All right, I did all right."
So you learned as you went.
Yeah.
That's great because I always knew that you had 5 times what you thought you had. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and you just needed to take a breath.
Yeah.
You know, just take a breath. And now look at you now.
And look at me now.
Yeah, unless there's a lot of bread involved.
I'm in. No kidding. Oh, well, this is a lovely story.
Props. I'm talking about props, you guys, just in case you're not sure.
Well,
he has a bread business.
I have a bread
now.
business. Well,
yes.
you know what's so funny?
Tell me.
Secretly.
Yes.
And everyone knows this because I've said it in interviews. When that first scene that we did together where I'm picking out your wedding dress, and I am saying, the placket, the lace applique, I had no idea what I was saying. I didn't get that gay gene. I couldn't pick up your dress or your shoes. I'm not that kind of a homosexual. I don't know. I don't care. And not that I don't care. I know it looks good, but
honestly, I don't think Michael Patrick King cares either.
No. It's about, you know, so I didn't like being a wedding planner, even though that wasn't.
You didn't?
No. But
I
it was
didn't know
fine.
that.
No.
You pulled it off. You didn't complain.
No. Complain. Just say the lines and hit your mark and shut up. But
we never said that.
No,
that's
but
I
said that to my head.
Yeah.
And not that I hated it. It's just like this wouldn't be my choice to play.
Got it.
But when this came on and just like that came along, because I've known Michael for years, so I just thought, he said, I knew I wanted to do something culinary with you.
Oh.
And I bake. I sell a banana bread to a coffee shop in my neighborhood.
No.
Yeah, I bake, I cook.
I didn't know
I'm a big baker.
I know you cook, but I didn't know you bake.
Oh, I bake.
I love it.
I bake a lot of stuff.
Wow.
And
we've got to get your banana bread at Hot Fellas.
Oh, I know. Well, you know what? And the other interesting thing is one of my favorite bakeries is Sullivan Street Bakery, which is right across the street from me. All the bread that we use in the bakery is from there. And I know Jim Leahy really well. It's a great place.
There's a type of soil in Mississippi called Yazoo clay. It's thick, burnt orange, and it's got a reputation.
It's terrible, terrible dirt.
Yazoo clay eats everything, so things that get buried there tend to stay buried. Until they're not. In 2012, construction crews at Mississippi's biggest hospital made a shocking discovery.
7,000 bodies out there or more.
All former patients of the old state asylum, and nobody knew they were there.
It was my family's mystery.
But in this corner of the South, it's not just the soil that keeps secrets.
Nobody talks about it. Nobody has any information.
When you peel back the layers of Mississippi's Yazoo clay, nothing's ever as simple as you think.
The story is much more complicated and nuanced than that.
I'm Larison Campbell. Listen to Under Yazoo Clay on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
The #1 hit true crime podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new, The Girlfriends Spotlight. Our first 2 series introduce you to an incredible gang of women who teamed up to fight injustice, showing just how powerful sisterly solidarity can be. We're keeping this mission alive with The Girlfriends Spotlight. Each week, a different woman sits down with me, Anna Sinfield, to share their incredible story of triumph over adversity. Like June, who founded an all-female rock band in the 1960s.
I might as well have said, we're gonna walk on the moon.
But she sure showed them who's boss and toured the world.
They would just be gobsmacked, and they would rush up after the set and say, not bad for chicks.
So come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriend Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Are your ears bored?
Yeah. Are you looking for a new podcast that will make you laugh, learn, and say ¿qué?
Yeah. Then tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10 today.
Okay. I'm Diosa,
I'm Mala,
the host of Locatora Radio, a radiophonic novela.
which is just a very extra way of saying a podcast. We're launching this season with a mini-series, Totally Nostalgic, a 4-part series about the Latinos who shaped pop culture in the early 2000s.
It's Lala checking in with all things Y2K, 2000s. My favorite memory, honestly, was us having our own media platforms like Mundos and MTV3. You could turn on the TV, you see Thalia, you see J-Lo, Nina Sky, Evie Queen, all the girlies doing their things, all of the beauty reflected right back at us. It was everything.
Tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10.
Now that's what I call a podcast. Listen to Locatora Radio Season 10 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Israel Gutierrez, and I'm hosting a new podcast, Dub Dynasty, the story of how the Golden State Warriors have dominated the NBA for over a decade.
The Golden State Warriors, once again, are NBA champions.
From the building of the core that included Klay Thompson and Draymond Green to one of the boldest coaching decisions in the history of the sport.
I just felt like the biggest thing was to earn the trust of the players and let the players know that we were here to try to help them take the next step, not tear anything down.
Today, the Warriors dynasty remains alive, in large part because of a scrawny 6'2" hooper who everyone seems to love.
For what Steph has done for the game, he's certainly on that Mount Rushmore for guys that have changed it.
Come revisit this magical Warriors ride. This is Dub Dynasty.
The Dubs Dynasty is still very much alive.
Listen to Dub Dynasty on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We ready to fight? I'm ready to fight.
And you ready to fight?
Is that what I thought it was? Oh, this is fighting words. Okay. I'll put the hammer back.
Hi, I'm George M. Johnson, a best-selling author with the second most banned book in America. Now more than ever, we need to use our voices to fight back. And that's what we're doing on Fighting Words. We're not going to let anyone silence us.
That's the reason why they're banning books like yours, George. That's the reason why they're trying to stop the teaching of Black history or queer history, any history that challenges the whitewashed norm.
Or put us in a box.
Black people have never, ever depended on the so-called mainstream to support us. That's why we are great. We are the greatest culture makers in world history.
Listen to Fighting Words on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What year is it, and how did you get the part? You knew Michael.
Oh, that's right.
You go in. Yes.
I just read it, and he cast me. And
Got it.
That
and
was
so
it.
And you thought it was one.
I thought it was one.
So then you run into him, and you're like, I don't care about the feedback.
Yeah,
I
want to
back
know.
in.
He said,
and did he say yes?
He said, you're definitely coming back.
Oh, great.
So I was on the second episode in season 4.
Right.
And then I did one other episode in season 4.
Right.
Yeah, and then I did 3 in season 5 and 6 in season 6.
And were
That
you
was it.
just calmly hoping, or were you calling him,
let me
calling
tell
your
you.
agents? What were you doing?
No, I didn't. I just prayed that I was coming back because I didn't. I honestly, look, I can't call them and make them where's my why aren't I?
No,
I
of
don't
course
do that.
not. No.
Look, and there are people that are the opposite. There with recurring people. There are people that are on that have recurring roles sometimes in not just our series. I'm talking about anywhere.
Yeah.
Where they have to work around them and they're not available.
Right.
I was always on call because I always afraid I would get fired if I couldn't make it.
That's so sweet.
It's stressful.
It's
and
very
then you hear
stressful,
other
but
stories
it
of
is
people
smart.
well, they had to write him out of this episode. Well, they had a
right.
This one couldn't do that. And this
right.
I couldn't be that way.
But I think that's great. I also would never have been that way if
No,
I
I
had
know.
been in that situation.
I know you wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm always
So
available.
I knew you understand it. Absolutely.
100%. But also, I think I also feel like, and tell me if you feel this way. you might be different with different projects, right? But like, if you feel that this is for you, like if it clicks, if you are thrilled with it and you like the working environment, and you like the part and the finished product or whatever, that's your priority. And I think that people know that. And look, our business is crazy and sometimes you can't control it, right?
No, you cannot.
But you can tell what the priorities are. And I know Michael Patrick really cares that you also care.
Oh, yeah, I
that
do.
All of us care.
I do.
Right.
I mean, I never even asked for like, oh, I can't make it that day. Could you possibly? I mean, there's a few times I was like, I want to go to LA and just do this game show for a day. Could you find a day for me? That's how I am. I don't push it.
Right.
But this, I also knew when I did my first episode that this was by the third season, it was a big show.
Got it.
And
so you didn't come before the third season, because in my mind you were there earlier, but no, because you were my wedding planner.
Yes.
I didn't get married till the third season.
That's right.
So that makes sense.
That is true.
And third season is when we really hit. I would say.
I would say so too.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going. And also back then, to have, I didn't know I was going to come back. Especially may he rest in peace, the great Willie Garson. You had already had one gay male character on the show, and back then one was enough for the public. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It was a different time.
It was a different time.
It was a different time.
So the fact that I got to become a recurring character on it, and and then eventually have my relationship with Stanford, with Willie.
Yeah.
So, it was...
So you didn't have super high expectations based on the fact that we already had one gay character.
Yep.
And this was the 90s and or early 2000s.
Yep.
And that was a lot.
Yeah.
But luckily we were on HBO and they pretty much let us do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But we still were, and it's part of the reason I wanted to do the podcast, because if you think about how things were in the society in 97, some things were really different, and television as a reflection of the society. And then some things weren't really different, right? Like there are things now that are really different that we would not have seen coming. And then there are some things where it's still very relevant, the things that were in the show, like the themes, the kind of ideas, but also I think the reality of New York City. We were trying our best to reflect that then. And some of that was a stretch, like having more than one gay character is a stretch, also which is crazy to think about.
Speaking of New York City, the influence
I know what you mean.
the influence that this show had on fashion. And also, look, I live down the street from the Meatpacking District. This show accelerated. It accelerated.
Oh, is it our fault?
It accelerated the development of that area. I can't walk in there. Drunk women chase me.
I know, babe. I know.
And you see those four girls in this show.
That for a second?
Yeah.
You know what's so funny is that still, because I live in LA when we're not working, as you know, and part of the reason I live in LA is because it's very chill compared to us in New York. And people are like, no, New Yorkers don't care. I'm like, well,
yeah, they do. They do.
But
and
also,
it's nice,
I mean, it's great because they consider us theirs, I think.
Yeah.
There's a type of soil in Mississippi called Yazoo clay. It's thick, burnt orange, and it's got a reputation.
It's terrible, terrible dirt.
Yazoo clay eats everything, so things that get buried there tend to stay buried. Until they're not. In 2012, construction crews at Mississippi's biggest hospital made a shocking discovery.
7,000 bodies out there or more.
All former patients of the old state asylum, and nobody knew they were there.
It was my family's mystery.
But in this corner of the South, it's not just the soil that keeps secrets.
Nobody talks about it. Nobody has any information.
When you peel back the layers of Mississippi's Yazoo clay, nothing's ever as simple as you think.
The story is much more complicated and nuanced than that.
I'm Larison Campbell. Listen to Under Yazoo Clay on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
The #1 hit true crime podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new, The Girlfriends Spotlight. Our first 2 series introduce you to an incredible gang of women who teamed up to fight injustice, showing just how powerful sisterly solidarity can be. We're keeping this mission alive with The Girlfriends Spotlight. Each week, a different woman sits down with me, Anna Sinfield, to share their incredible story of triumph over adversity. Like June, who founded an all-female rock band in the 1960s.
I might as well have said, we're going to walk on the moon.
But she sure showed them who's boss and toured the world.
They would just be gobsmacked, and they would rush up after the set and say, not bad for chicks.
So come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriend Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Are your ears bored?
Yeah. Are you looking for a new podcast that will make you laugh, learn, and say ¿qué?
Yeah. Then tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10 today.
Okay. I'm Diosa.
I'm Mala.
The host of Locatora Radio, a radiophonic novela.
Which is just a very extra way of saying a podcast. We're launching this season with a mini-series, Totally Nostalgic. A 4-part series about the Latinos who shaped pop culture in the early 2000s.
It's Lala checking in with all things Y2K, 2000s. My favorite memory, honestly, was us having our own media platforms like Mundos and MTV3. You could turn on the TV, you see Thalia, you see J-Lo, Nina Sky, Evie Queen, all the girlies doing their things, all of the beauty reflected right back at us. It was everything.
Tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10.
Now that's what I call a podcast. Listen to Locatora Radio Season 10 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Israel Gutierrez, and I'm hosting a new podcast, Dub Dynasty, the story of how the Golden State Warriors have dominated the NBA for over a decade.
The Golden State Warriors, once again, are NBA champions.
From the building of the core that included Klay Thompson and Draymond Green to one of the boldest coaching decisions in the history of the sport.
I just felt like the biggest thing was to earn the trust of the players and let the players know that we were here to try to help them take the next step, not tear anything down.
Today, the Warriors dynasty remains alive, in large part because of a scrawny 6'2" hooper who everyone seems to love.
For what Steph has done for the game, he's certainly on that Mount Rushmore for guys that have changed it.
Come revisit this magical Warriors ride. This is Dub Dynasty.
The Dubs dynasty is still very much alive.
Listen to Dub Dynasty on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We ready to fight? I'm ready to fight.
You ready to fight?
Is that I thought it was, oh, this is fighting words. Okay. I'll put the hammer back.
Hi, I'm George M. Johnson, a best-selling author with the second most banned book in America. Now more than ever, we need to use our voices to fight back. And that's what we're doing on Fighting Words. We're not going to let anyone silence us.
That's the reason why they're banning books like yours, George. That's the reason why they're trying to stop the teaching of Black history, queer history, any history that challenges the whitewashed norm.
Or put us in a box.
Black people have never, ever depended on the so-called mainstream to support us. That's why we are great. We are the greatest culture makers in world history.
Listen to Fighting Words on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I took my shirt off once on Sex and the City. It was in that episode.
Oh, I remember.
All the glitters in the
There
club.
was a lot of stress.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
And I looked all right. I look back and go, okay.
I'm
So
sure you
this
look
was
great,
2
baby.
years ago.
Yes.
When we're going into the second season, and Michael Patrick King called me up and said, hey, just so you know, you're going to be getting a storyline. You're going to be getting a boyfriend. So guess what?
I
got my trainer and I started working out.
What?
And when I have a backside shot, I'm in bed with Sebastiano, who I just adore.
Yes.
I'm the luckiest man in the world with that. And he sent in one audition tape and got it. We had no chemistry test, and it is a godsend.
This is how Michael
And he's
Patrick
like my
does
brother
it.
now, you know.
I know. He's
which is
so
a little
sweet.
weird kissing him. First season, I was like, I get to kiss this beautiful young man. Now I'm like, you're like my brother, and I'm over here when it's a little weird, but I love him. He's just a good
He's
good
a
guy.
sweetie pie. Yeah.
So I looked at it and I went, well, the night before it dropped, I didn't sleep. I was like, these homosexuals are going to come after me.
Baby.
I look like, and then I saw it and I went, you know what? I look okay. And I'm old. And I'm next to him. I was like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
You were very stressed. I remember you were very stressed because how could you not be?
Murder.
It's a very real thing.
And you know, even with like the intimacy coordinators, because Sebastiano's a guy and I'm a guy, we're both like, whatever. We're not like choreographing every move. And we had us which is fine. Look, it's different for women. It's a different thing.
But the other thing is, I don't think anyone wants to choreograph every move.
No.
It's about feeling safe,
It's about
right?
feeling
And so
safe.
you don't know. The intimacy coordinator is there because you don't know the situation and you don't know how the other actor's going to be. I mean, we do in our situation.
You do.
But normally you don't know. And
Yes.
you don't know what the
And
director's
it's
going to
early
want.
on, you were working with different men all the time. It's a different
Definitely,
thing.
and that was
But
a different time,
I'm
yeah.
totally, I felt so safe with him.
Of
He felt safe with me.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
But, and it's, you know, for a man, for a guy, all these guys, the crew, I love my crew. They're all straight guys. You know, when you're a woman, it's a different thing. I mean, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so before season 3 started filming, I said to Michael, I want more nudity. I said, my DMs blew up. The next day, I want more nudity. I said, I like being sexualized at 65 years old. It's good.
Well, God bless you. God bless you. And you know what? I mean, we're lucky that we even get the chance to do anything. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right? Let's pause. Let's back up in time. Do you remember meeting Willie?
Yes. It was that first day.
The first day?
I'm sorry, not the first day. It was my second episode.
When we're at the fashion show.
The fashion show.
Which was really fun.
Oh, it was a blast.
I remember being really fun.
I remember that day. I remember walking into that the aisle of the fashion show.
It was big too. It was big. Remember how big it was?
Huge. It was like
remember, we weren't the main story. Sarah Jessica Walking and Falling was with Heidi Klum and Kevin Aquan was there. So we were just having fun. Yeah, we were just having a good time.
Yeah.
You, me, and Willie.
I
Which
remember.
was really, really fun.
And, you know, right away, I got who he was. I adored him. He's hilarious. His storytelling is phenomenal.
I know,
he's
right?
just a great person to be around. He was just so much fun, and we hung out and here and there, and you know, I remember when he first adopted his son.
Yeah,
I mean, all
Nathan,
of that. Yeah, Nathan. So it's it's fascinating because who knew we were going to get married eventually?
I know.
And
what'd you think of that?
I thought it was good. I think
it was great.
Things happen. I've met people that I'm like, I'm
Unexpected.
totally not attracted
Right.
to that. I don't. And then all of a sudden it flips.
Yeah.
That happens all the time in life.
and I can't really separate this from actual life, you know, because we didn't, we didn't know that he was sick. And then obviously we really didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was, as quickly as it was. And we had to really shift gears with your storyline. I mean, how'd you feel?
Oh, first of all, he told me while we were filming Big's funeral. I didn't know. That's when we all kind of found out. And
I already knew. But
you knew.
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
And
that was a hard.
You know,
oh, Jesus.
John Melfi was running around and he had a stressful
You could tell
weekend.
something was
what's
going
on?
Yeah.
And I sat down on the bench with Willie and he told me and he turned his head and I thought he was laughing because I thought it's a joke. And then he wasn't. And so we both were crying and he said he has to leave the show and I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm sorry. I'm like, what? It was mind blowing. It
really was
horrible.
Horrible.
And, you know, I was like, well, whatever happens for me, I was like, whatever, you know, I mean, and so Michael came to me and said, look, because he had to write on the fly for me, because all that stuff.
I remember.
Which
you had a whole bunch of scenes. All of a sudden.
Which he did brilliantly.
Of course he did.
Just did. But, you know, I remember him saying to me, you know, I'm going to need you now more than ever. And, you know, I started crying. It was just, it was a lot. And then Willie was gone. And I always, this story about when we were going in to see Lily's recital, that first episode. And we filmed the argument out in the front when you were coming in. And we went in and then we filmed the interior like 3 weeks later and he couldn't make it.
I know.
And that scene was rewritten that morning by Michael. And I remember that day. So I was, you know, the court jester and trying to be funny and keep it all light. You know, Michael would always throw out, what would Betty Davis say? So you know, but it was, we all just kind of held on and kept moving forward, but it it was rough. But here we are.
I know. What can you do? It is really shocking, though.
It's shocking.
Isn't it still shocking?
Look, yeah, and cancer. My whole family's. There's so many of my people. My mother, my father. A lot of people have gone from cancer in my family.
Cancer's horrible.
It sucks.
Horrible.
It sucks, and I just feel like, why isn't it cured yet? Where's the fix?
I agree.
This money making thing. Where's the fix? At least why? I mean, look. I know there's things that have gotten better, but there's also treatments that aren't available and we don't know about that are available in Germany or something.
That's true. Germany, for some reason, is the place to go. It's interesting.
There's supposedly a cancer vaccination there that they make for you according to your cancer that really supposedly helps.
Well, listen up, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Peter Gabriel is doing it.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
So, let's go,
We're
Germany.
not doctors.
No.
We're not doctors.
We're not.
Not medical advice.
No.
But interesting.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish we could go back in time. I wish we could go back in time. It is strange. When I first started the podcast, I had to go back and rewatch the pilot, right? And I haven't seen any of these things since, the beginning, right?
Yeah.
I used to really hate to rewatch because I just felt, I don't know, weird about it. Like I didn't want to spend my time in the past, I guess.
Yeah.
But because we're here together and talking about it, the podcast is a way to connect, and because so many people, I'm sure you experienced this, talk to me about it throughout the day. You're moving through the world and different things strike different people differently, right? And they'll come up and say, oh, I remember blah, blah, blah. And I remember blah, blah, blah. And, it's so amazing. Like the way that you can touch people or be a part of something that touches people.
And how they know the material better than we do.
100%.
We do it and we forget it.
Yeah, 100%. I remember the big storylines, but so many things I didn't remember.
Or a line.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I said that.
Isn't that crazy that people remember the lines? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, to go back, when I first watched the pilot, I had always remembered the pilot being bad. In my mind, it was bad. Because we didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't really know. There was so much talking to the camera.
Yes.
It was very dark, which in my mind had been bad. But when you look back on it, it's kind of bold and amazing and interesting and dark, like not like television at the time at all. Right.
And the tone of the first season was a little different.
Oh, the tone of the first season. Yeah. We didn't know nothing in terms of what we're doing.
The overlap of talking sometimes.
Which is fantastic. Last night there was a lot of overlapping.
Oh, yes, there was. And I've never seen that before.
I know, because Michael does not.
No, he doesn't do that.
No,
No, he doesn't.
No.
It's
which
your
is
line,
really
my line.
stressful.
It's that
sometimes.
It's the clip
right.
stuff.
It's his pattern that he writes. But back when I first watched the pilot, I'm just in my bed, the night before the first podcast recording, watching it. And when they introduced Stanford, it's just this super close up of Willie, who I already knew. I knew Willie because I met him on the X-Files set in like Vancouver in a abandoned insane asylum.
Oh my God.
Like super spooky, but of course Willie makes any place fun, right? So it was just a really good time. He's telling stories, he's doing the whole thing. So I already knew him, which was great. And it just smash cut to Willie's face, his young face. And it hit me so hard. But this is the joy of film, that it lasts forever.
Yeah, that it lasts forever.
Right? And he made his mark in so many different shows and so many different movies.
He worked a lot.
So much. Everyone knew him.
Everyone knew him. Everyone knew him. He worked with a lot of people. He did a lot of work, a lot of series.
Know.
Like he did many things.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel when you think back, is it something where you can think about, oh, I remember when, Willie and I were doing this and I was observing him and I learned this? Or are you all just like soaking it up wherever you go?
Well, just, it's day to day.
Yeah.
It's a different experience every time you're on that set.
Which is what I love about acting in general.
Me too. It's
right?
absolutely, it's a different experience. You're feeling different things.
Right.
And you're more anxious one day and a little less anxious another day and care too much one day. And then one day you're like, ugh.
I don't have those days.
This today, I'm tired.
You don't have those days either.
No, I don't. I don't. I actually
I know you better than that.
No, I don't. I don't never. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
You feel different things.
Well, you have to, I think the interesting thing is you have to manage where your personal self are that day, but then you also have to manage yourself into where your character is that day.
Yeah.
Right? Which
is
absolutely. Like takes some work sometimes.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to figure that out as you go.
Because sometimes when, not that I mean, I don't give a shit one day. It's like, I care a little less, which relaxes me more.
Right.
I'm the same
right,
person.
right,
I'm going
right.
through
Right.
the day in the same way.
Right.
But I'm a little bit more relaxed
Right.
sometimes.
Which I
is
think for you is
probably
great.
happened later. And
Right. But it's a great thing because you don't need to be as anxious as you are.
Yeah. Well,
they make jokes about Charlotte's wedding.
No,
Your
the
wedding,
wedding
was
was-
long.
it was huge.
Oh my gosh.
and my real sister, which you don't really see as close up of them, but you see two women walking
remember this.
down the aisle. And
Yeah, yeah.
Both my sisters, and one of them passed away in 2019. She died of cancer.
I'm so
So
sorry.
yeah, but she got to walk me down the aisle,
That's
which
so
was pretty
nice.
great.
So
And,
nice. With the swans and Liza.
with the swans. And I always go like this. I go, when Liza was like, I danced and sang the single ladies, and I danced so hard that I stepped on a swan and broke its neck. It was an accident. I didn't mean it. And I was like, who has swans at their weddings? I didn't have swans at my real wedding. My real wedding was
I'm sure it
8
was.
people on my roof deck.
Wow,
that was it. And then we went
love
to
it.
dinner afterwards.
But you were in like a wedding by Michael Patrick King,
Oh,
which is a
it
different
was such a
situation. It was like a
incredible-
musical from the 40s.
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah.
set
I know.
was insane.
Huge with the water and the swans. We were all out in our trailers and you guys were in there for days and we'd
Yeah.
all be like, hey, does anyone know what's going on in there? Does anyone know what's going on in there? And then we would walk in like, hey, you guys, what are you doing? And it was like Liza. It was the Liza show, which
Liza
of course was
Minelli.
amazing. So we would stand in the back and watch the Liza show. And then it was the Swans and then it was the Gay Men's Health Chorus. And then
Yep.
it was you guys. And
Yep.
then we were like, well, someday they'll need us. And the four of us would trot back out to our
It was
trailers.
really, yeah.
I know.
It was
I don't
really
think
a
the
long
studio
thing.
was very happy with us though. They were a little annoyed.
Well, the show it did well.
It did
the
well.
movie did well.
It did
Both
well.
movies did well.
It's true.
Financially, both movies
The
did
first
really
movie
well.
did super great.
Super great.
Second movie, we cost too much, but
Yeah.
that's okay. We're not here to talk about that. It's
yeah.
okay. It's not our
But
fault. It's not our
globally,
fault.
they all do well.
I
too.
know. That's right. And we're lucky.
We
We're
are
so
lucky.
lucky because
'Cause global-
theoretically, comedy and women are not supposed to travel. Ha ha ha.
Oh, no, it's huge globally.
I know, baby. Mario,
What?
are you a Charlotte?
I think part of me is.
Yay!
Yeah. I think I like things in their place.
Mm-hmm.
I like lovely things.
Yes.
I definitely have high anxiety. I definitely
Is that on the list?
yeah. Oh yeah. And I definitely have to control things.
Right. That should be on the list.
That's definitely.
Do you believe in love?
Oh yeah, I do believe in love.
Yeah.
I'm in it. So,
You're happily
yeah,
married.
I'm happily married,
So
and I'm
sweet.
a lucky man.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't marry me. But yeah, I'm definitely.
So if you're part Charlotte,
it's so
who's
funny
the
that
other part?
I never thought
No?
of that, but I think if I had to say which one I was,
Yeah. But what's the
because
other
I'm not
part?
a Carrie.
Okay.
Because Carrie goes through a lot of things, and she's had a handful of relationships during this show, right?
Really only two important ones.
Really, only two important.
Yeah.
True.
But go ahead.
True. But yeah,
I mean,
The
listen,
decisive-
Charlotte has had a bunch of
yeah, she has.
relationships.
Because I'm always I always think about the
Of
later
course.
ones.
No.
Because she's single now. And I guess I'm partly Samantha because I'm a smart ass and I say stuff for sure. And I don't think I'm a Miranda. I
No
think she's-
Miranda?
No, I
but
think
you kind of do tell
think
things like it is. You
Yeah,
know,
I
that's
do.
a Miranda
That's true.
quality.
I do. That's true.
Like,
You're right.
tell it
And
like it is. you
I just
know?
think she's there's such an intelligence about her too. So,
But you're intelligent.
sometimes. But yeah, I think there's a lot of me in Charlotte, and I never thought that.
Yay!
That's very interesting.
I keep forgetting to ask people the question.
Oh,
I don't
it's a
know
good question.
why. I know it's
Well,
a fun
psychologically,
question.
it's a great question.
You're a joy. Thanks for
you.
being here.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Chris.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
The #1 hit podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new. The Girlfriends Spotlight, where each week you'll hear women share their stories of triumph over adversity. You'll meet Luann, who escaped a secretive religious community.
Do I want my freedom or do I want my family?
And now helps other women get out too.
I loved my girls. I still love my girls.
Come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriends Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Sam Mullins, and I've got a new podcast coming out called
Go Boy, the gritty true story of how one man fought his way out of some of the darkest places imaginable.
Roger Caron was 16 when first convicted.
Has spent 24 of those years in jail.
But when Roger Caron picked up a pen and paper, he went from an ex-con to a literary darling. From Campside Media and iHeart Podcasts, listen to Go Boy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. I'm excited to introduce a brand new season of my podcast, Math and Magic, Stories from the Frontiers of Marketing. I'm having conversations with some folks across a wide range of industries to hear how they reach the top of their fields and the lessons they learned along the way that everyone can use. I'll be joined by innovative leaders like Chairman and CEO of Elf Beauty, Tarang Amin, legendary singer-songwriter and philanthropist Jewel.
Being a rock star is very fun, but helping people is way more fun.
And Damian Maldonado, CEO of American Financing.
I figured out the formula. I just have to work hard, and then that's magic.
Join me as we uncover innovations in data and analytics, the math, and the ever-important creative spark, the magic. Listen to Math and Magic on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast.
Are your ears bored?
Yeah. Are you looking for a new podcast that will make you laugh, learn, and say ¿qué?
Yeah. Then tune in to Locatora Radio Season 10 today.
Okay. Now that's what I call a podcast. I'm Diosa.
I'm Mala.
The host of Locatora Radio, a radiophonic novela.
Which is just a very extra way of saying a podcast. Listen to Locatora Radio Season 10 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Israel Gutierrez, and I'm hosting a new podcast, Dub Dynasty, the story of how the Golden State Warriors have dominated the NBA for over a decade.
The Golden State Warriors, once again, are NBA champions.
Today, the Warriors dynasty remains alive, in large part because of a scrawny 6'2" hooper who everyone seems to love.
For what Steph has done for the game, he's certainly on that Mount Rushmore.
Come revisit this magical Warriors ride. Listen to Dub Dynasty on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.